Morena. It was an insomniac night for me last night, and I thought, wow, it's about time I got clear on what I am dealing with when it comes to mental health, and I have to talk to a doctor and get a consistent doctor on my side to prevent myself being mental health acted again in the future. So last night, basically, a lot of tossing and turning, thinking to myself, I have to write an affidavit. And I have to do that this weekend, and I have to do some things that I have to do, because not only have I got human rights and rights that I got to stand up for, but I have obligations, right? And this is a new perspective from the Cherokees. So Hopi Indians, bless you all the way from Aotearoa. Thank you for your presence and the way that you help shift and raise the collective society and humanity as a whole, even though you were once a terrorized population of people, much like many of our indigenous cultures. But the seeds you planted were not buried and mistrodden on for no reason. Okay, they've sprouted up and they're coming back again. Okay, so don't mind me. Like I said, a complete night no sleep. Don't worry about it too much. It's something that I believe I can cope with on a personal level, because if I had tried hard enough, I really could have fallen asleep. Really, I could have. If I just got cozy in my nice spot, I could have done it, but I didn't. I'm a classic example of mismanaged mental health, okay? And it's worse than that. It's mismanaged maternal mental health, which I believe is the most disastrous mental health you could possibly suffer from, because it affects the entire generations to come. And if I believe my dear Yogi when he spoke of my beloved guardian angel who I have in the ether, who's a 7th generation back little bit of a black witch, I think she might have had maternal issues there, okay, guys? Don't be so quick to call her a crazy witchy bitch. Now, just having fun with myself, trying to rationalize life and perspective and my take on events and what I'm even talking about today. Is it relevant to you? Probably not. You probably don't give two shits. I don't give shit either sometimes. But I'm just trying to get it clear for me, because I'm going to have to go to a doctor and I'm going to have to take the health processes and the court processes seriously. And even though the processes are up to fuck and I want to change every single little piece about all of them, I can't unless I'm involved, right? And so just a complete uninvolvement, detachment, avoidance sort of coping mechanism doesn't cut it when it comes to conflict resolution. And if we can't get over conflicts, how the hell are we going to transmute all this ancestral trauma that we're all faced with today? Don't care where you come from. I don't care what your family line is. You're facing ancestral generational trauma today, whether you like it or not, whether it's personal or not. So to get a clear head, where did my mental health issues start? Well, to be honest, I went through a stressful time when I was 22, when I did suffer from extreme stress from just what was going on around me. It was personal, something that's not really my story, so I'm not going to share. But I was affected by it, and my mental health wavered a lot, and I got sort of psychotic flashes while I was driving and had an intense fear that a particular somebody was following me. It was a particular somebody that time. It was triggered by a particular somebody. And really, I should have got mental health help then. Well, if there's such a thing as mental health help services that help. But I coped with family support, a phenomenal woman support who was family, who was very spiritual. So she was a spiritual guidance, solid rock for me, who I could hug and talk to all hours of the night if I wanted. Spirulina and a pill called Stress Zone, which was just a vitamin C with an extra something in it. I called them my happy pills, and I coped fine, smooth sailing after that. I'm quirky, I'm different. I didn't realize how different I truly was until the whole world starts embracing differences and we learn about differences and we're like, wow, we're all so different. Isn't it amazing? So where am I going at with this? Okay, so then came the arrival of my daughter, nearly Earthside, and my puku. She was well waited for. Like, wouldn't believe how long awaited she was. She was very much a wanted child, very much so. Still is to this day, forever will be, forever will be. And if I don't show it, God Almighty above will, because I held faith like that. And I might have wavering faith at sometimes, questionable faith. I might have confusing faith when I'm not categorized in a certain box and I don't represent myself godly enough in the way that I do what I do, think what I think, feel what I feel, and comprehend what I comprehend. And for that, I apologize. I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm just like you. I'm a journeyer. Maybe I'm a wanderer. No, I'm a journeyer. And I'm on this life healing journey because life hurts, man. That's all I got to say. There's pain involved in life. And with pain comes healing. Okay? And it's just a natural progression. So, anyways, back to mental health. Shit, this is going to take some time to unravel with the doctor because I need a report written and I don't understand why reports weren't written or why they don't write reports anyway when you're sectioned under the Mental Health Act, which is under abide by law, you've got to do this or what. So if it's like instructed by the courts, they should at least instruct them to fucking have some proper fucking policy, have some proper procedures. I'm fucking serious, man. It's a shit show out there. You don't want to be locked up in a mental institute in 2023, okay? In 2022, 2021, even 2020 was very, very hectic years to be locked away, okay? Anytime you're locked away, it is not good. Unless, of course, you're in your own sanctuary, or you've managed to create sanctuary, you have body autonomy, and you still have connection. Then it's absolutely fine to lock yourself away. And that's why all hermits of the world were ultimate spiritual gurus, because they knew what they were doing, right? They didn't need all this hocus pocus psychiatric witchery in our lives, because that's sort of what it is. There's a little bit of black magic and everything, just like there's a lot of white magic and all. Okay. Where am I going first? Okay. The stuff's a little bit tricky to talk about because it hits home hard, because it just hits home hard. So let me just try and be as real gets with myself, because I got to stop lying to myself, right? What do I lie to myself about? My mood, my state, how I truly feel. And it's a habit I want to quit, because honesty is the best policy in God's books. Actual, all of his books, go ask him. All of his books. God has many books, doesn't just have the Bible. That's the beauty. That's the beauty. It's the beauty of open-mindedness and being open to finding connection wherever you look. Open to learning things that perhaps aren't entirely biblical, but relate. Maybe things that are read in biblical context, but a slightly different perspective, so the shift makes it easier to feel the connection that you need to feel with a heavenly mother or godly figure. Motherly, godly figure. I say this because I believe mother energy comes first. Father energy comes second. And this is why women have been ostracized for centuries. Because we're very, very, very powerful beings. Extremely. So is a man, so is a child, so is a boy, so is a girl. But there's something very majestic about womanhood. Just like there's something majestic about manhood. Just like there's something majestic about adulthood. And I don't know what we call it for the in-betweeners, and I don't wish to offend or get too traditional on the sexes, but in my mind there's 3 sexes. 2 predominant ones. Vagina, penis. 2 sexes. What's a sex? A sex is the sex that you were born with. Then we have hermaphrodites, an anomaly. They've got a little bit of both in them. They might be born without a womb and with, like, I don't know. It's complicated. Not as complicated as the 56 genders, though. Gosh, is the world painful or what? Okay, back to my mental health. I'm going off track because I don't want to talk about hard stuff. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so my biggest mental health crisis was a couple of years after this first ever sort of slightly psychotic, mostly stress related, circumstantial episodes that I had in when I was 22. So move forward to I'm 24. I've given birth to my first baby. I am in my element as a maternal mother. I am loving the bonding time. No, seriously, I took it too far. Me and her were like, oh, just we were at one together all the time. And I don't want to sound like, I don't want anyone to put like a sick or perverted twist on that, because horrendous things can happen between people and things. And I don't want to go there about anything like that today. Nothing personal anyway, because I'm a little bit not in the right mind frame for it. But we had a bond which was, still is, because it's there in the ether. And I believe that wholeheartedly, and I can repair all ruptures that have occurred. I believe that wholeheartedly. Rupture, I mean separation. We both dealt with the separation horrendously at the beginning. First phone call I had with my baby girl, she spoke to me for 45 minutes non-stop just because she missed me so much. Like, me and her were just banter all the time. It was only me and her living together in a house for over a year. And she was a toddler then, a newly speaking, evolving, miraculous little human growing in front of my eyes, okay? We had an amazing time together. It was stressful, yes. I do find life stressful. Reframe that. Challenging at times. Not her. Not having to parent her wasn't challenging. It was having to be able to parent myself so that I was a fully bodied, abled, responsible person to responsibly look after my life. And I mean finances, I mean housing, I mean being able to purchase food, just real basic things that most people have in the bag, but some people don't, because life circumstances can be challenging. You might not have a car. You might live too far from a restaurant, from a supermarket to walk to. Some things like that, some people find harder because the circumstances in their life just aren't quite as, I'm going to say, luxurious as others, because to have a car is a luxury, right? Especially when we've been gifted these 2 feet and we can walk many, many miles without tiring. So yeah, here I am, living at home now. Skip back, jump back. I'm jumping forward. What happened, Angelique? What happened when she was little? Okay, so I breastfed with Anahita for over a year. We actually did 14 months solid, and it was an amazing bonding experience for me. And just the fact that I could fulfill a dependent baby's needs with nothing other than myself for 6 straight months is pretty fucking phenomenal. Like, come on. Like, that's cool. I don't know. I don't want to be a cow forever, because it's sort of like what you become in a way. But it was a phenomenal feat, and I was really, really proud of myself for it. And I wanted to carry on that longer, but unfortunately my mental health got in the way, my hospitalizations got in the way, and that ended abruptly. With my first ever episode in the hospital. Well, my first ever mental health episode. If I go back to those times, I was an anxious mother, but I was very much a lonesome mother too, but not lonely as in it was getting to me too bad, because I was coping really well and I enjoyed my space, my sanctuary I had, my time with my daughter. I just didn't have any space away from her. I didn't have any direct people supporting to hold her, to feed her, to help do the day-to-day things. And it is exhausting. It takes 2 years to recover from childbirth. 2 years. And then you've got that 3rd year right when you need your second wind. But fuck, where am I going with this? Okay, so what was going on for me? Okay, looking back now, it's obvious anxiety. Bite my nails all the time. Don't do that anymore. It was obvious anxiety now that I look back, just because your brain structure changes when you have a child. The parts of your brain that alerts danger fire up because you've got this new dependent on you for survival. So your whole brain restructures and rewires so that you can become attuned to your child, and you can react on behalf of them in times of need. Okay, it is a very real needed psychological change in our brains when it comes to parenthood. This happens to fathers too, but unfortunately only the fathers who get that bonding time early on, and that's why paternal leave is just as important as maternal leave in my eyes. But anyways, so I had developed this anxiety. It was extremist to the point where I wanted to be the most perfectest parent I could ever possibly be. Only because I was so sad and crying that I didn't want to fuck her up. And I might have done that already. No, I haven't. Separation is hard on children. I know this from my own past experience. I know this from what should be common sense. Yeah, so obvious anxiety, obvious postnatal depression or prenatal mood issues, if I look back at it, right? Not that I would ever admit it to anyone, because I was happy face fine all the time. And I went for a long time like that. A long time. I was so good at it. And you know what that's called? Not just self-preservation, but it's called presenting yourself to yourself in the world. Putting on your best front face forward and just not fake it till you make it, but you're faking it till you become what it is you're trying to embody, right? And that's basically how I dealt with my mental health initially, and it was working really well. I'm just reminiscing on all the times I was actively working on mental health without medication versus with medication, and without medication was hands down all the time. And I need a psychiatrist on side with me about this because they want to diagnose me with something called bipolar. A symptom of bipolar is thinking that you don't need medication. Oh, tick that box, you might have bipolar. The boxes that they tick are astounding because you can tick boxes for anyone you pick up off the street. But the difference is people we're not picking up off the street tend to be coping. The ones in hospitalization scenarios aren't coping. But unfortunately, the ones in hospitalization scenarios generally aren't coping, not because a lack of able-bodied ableness, but a lack of social, structural, societal, and family support structures, in my honest opinion. And the mental health services is there as a support structure for us, which is a blessing, but also a blessing in disguise, because the disguise that parades around a lot isn't helping. It's actually inhibiting healing and growth. It's debilitating a lot of people. And I say this based on my own experiences with my own two eyes, watching countless other inpatients, countless, go through what they're going through, knowing in my heart of hearts they're over medicated and in no state, frame, or mind to actually absorb any information new that's going to help them because they had that zombied. I'm sorry, but that is the state of it. And I shouldn't say that so harshly, but those mental institutes, what they need is people like me, not necessarily, like people who have had experience in there as a patient to come back as a healed patient to talk to the patients that aren't healed so they get inspiration and stuff. Because you're just sitting there sometimes with some doctor that you've just fucking met who's just made all sorts of assumptions about you because they come across all sorts of crazy people on a daily basis. You've had all of 10 minutes with them and they've written you up a new diagnosis and you've got a whole new chart of drugs. And you've got nothing to say about it because you're under the Mental Health Act and you can't do nothing. You can refuse to take your pills, but they'll come in and jab you. And you know what? You're a voluntary patient. You expressed your human right to deny medical treatment as per your right. And you get told you're going to get injected anyways if you do that. Why am I so against injections? Okay. I'm not going to beg off all the mental health drugs because I understand the band-aid. I understand the need for a band-aid. I've been with and seen and had myself many psychotic episodes. I know some drugs can be effective in those moments where it is not safe to pull someone back into their being without people getting hurt, especially people themselves when they're extremely suicidal. But then again, it's a very touchy subject to deal with because not many people make it out of suicidality. If they try kill themselves once, they generally try again. And people who try succeed, and we never see them again. They don't get to come back and be like, this is what I wish someone had said to me moments before I did it, or this is what I really truly needed now that I'm looking back in hindsight. We don't get to have that data or those statistics to do proper analytics when it comes to treating suicidality, so it's danger zone. It's danger zone. Danger zone for me because I've been there before. And you know what? This woman, fucking phenomenal woman, I'll talk about her more. She's the one who pulled me out. She's the one who gave me the thoughts necessary that I needed and the spiritual guidance necessary that I needed to never, ever fall victim to suicidality ever again. Now, unexpectedly, about a month ago, I had the first ever suicidal thought that I had felt ever since I first tried. Okay? Just because I think it doesn't mean I'm going to act on it, and it doesn't even mean the thought was mine. It just means it was there and a low was around to tell me something's going wrong in your life and to let you need to change something. It scared me for a day. Too long, eh? Took too much of my time. How much time does fear take away from you? I bet you it's too much too. The stupid watermelon lollipop tasting motherfucking vape is not a cigarette. And I don't even need cigarettes or nicotine in my life, seriously. But I do like Becky. And I do love the ritualistic smoke about it. And I like the time it takes to sit and contemplate. I like the connection to earth. I like the connection to soul, self, and breathing. I like the space that it brings. I don't like the harmful nicotine addiction, and I don't like all the diseases that come with smoking. But I do love the practice. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to say that. But the stress relief that I've found in my life, the social connections I've made in my life through cigarettes is something I will cherish forever. Okay. So I'm holding my heart space. And as I hold my heart space, I'm remembering the first time my heart space was in mega trouble. And this was when I was 24. I was creeping up to my daughter's first birthday. I'd had many teary episodes. Women cry, men cry, children cry, humanity cries, and it is okay. It is just as okay as laughter, believe it or not. Believe it or not. So tearied, anxious, a little bit frighty about raising a child, but doing my damnedest, right? Doing my damnedest and doing a really remarkable job at it. And anyways, I'm laying in my bed and my heart's pounding a million miles an hour. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I feel like I've got a compass inside me and it is spinning a million miles an hour, but it's not stopping. That's how it felt. I didn't know then, but I know now that this was a panic attack. I had a series of really major panic attacks. I couldn't sleep. I'd be sitting up at night time. I'd be holding on to my partner like he's fucking the edge of a cliff because I think I'm going to die. And it was just terrifying. I didn't know what was going on. So apart from reaching out to the likes of my family through video call, crying, just being like, I miss you. And yeah, I also knew something was wrong, right? And I knew I needed help, right? But I didn't know where to go to, who to turn to. And there was a woman online. She was a life coach, a healer. I reached to her first. Why? Well, I call it blind faith, but I also call it trust and resonance with someone's actuality and their sense of being. And she was a godsend, and she still is. She's not in my life anymore, and I really truly wish she was, but she's not. And unfortunately, I've just got to deal without her by my side, or in my life, or in my bubble. God willing, she'll come back. Nah, I feel and pick up on her all the time. She doesn't know this because I don't get to talk anymore. She stopped a panic attack. I didn't know this woman from a bar or so. Called her up on the phone, video like this. She's looking at me in the eye, telling me to hold my heart. She's talking to me. She pulls me out of a panic attack. Pulls me out. Simply by stating what I'm feeling and holding space for me there in that moment. It was obvious I needed sleep. I hadn't slept properly, not to mention the whole of my daughter's life. But no, I slept wicked. I slept with her all the time. We slept like babies until this time where I couldn't sleep and it was awkward. Not good for me. And too much no sleep wreaks havoc. Ask any growing human. So what else did I do? I got some supposed sleeping pills, some family support, packed up my bags, moved from the house I was in. It was a quite hard way of living off grid, but without proper facilities. I was a hippie with big dreams, still am. Still sad about the dreams that never came to fruition and the nightmares, but hey, better days. Learning, growth, lessons, do what you got to do to write remedies or whatever. So I took these pills, right? I took them during the day, not meant to take them during the day, but I had a first break ever from baby during the day, and my family was there. My partner's family was there. My partner was there at the time. So all was fine. Angelique, just sleep and you'll get better, right? Just sleep and you get better. Okay, because it works like that. No. So I took these pills. Didn't really make me sleep. I was just sort of like, okay, this is what we're doing. And then my mother-in-law had it in her head that it was breastfeeding that was the problem because my baby was cluster feeding at the time. Not cluster feeding, sorry. She was teething feeding, which is different overnight, and she was going through growth spurts and stuff, and we had different idealistics when it came to generational viewpoints on viewing little babies and children. But she semi-convinced me that that was a problem, and I thought, you know what? Okay, I've done my time with her. We can transition. She'll still need some milk, maybe, but she never took to a bottle, and she was a great eater anyway, so I wasn't too worried. I didn't realise how traumatic this would be for me and for Anahita long term. Just when I say disruption of bonding connection times, you've got to find something to replace that. And obviously you've got hugs and affies in other ways. But it's real hard when you, I don't know, when that gets broken, because it's special and it's spiritual and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Breastfeeding is beautiful. So is bottle feeding, but breastfeeding is just miraculous. I think the human body is amazing. By the way, took a drug once, a drug from the mental hospital, and it made my tits leak milk. My God. So that was a bit of a shock. Anyway, that was a shock. What have I been on? Okay, so I managed to avoid the mental health people until the next day where I'm like, okay, things still aren't better. Everybody wants me to go see someone. So I go see someone just to tell them where I was at, what was going on in my head. I let go way too much information. I cry way too much. I reveal too much of my psychosis. And I also reveal that, I took a sleeping pill the night before, just to get some sleep. And that's what I'm here for, is just a sleeping pill because I need to sleep, right? Turns out, well, actually, no, Angelique, you got two options. You can either come with us to the hospital and have a stay there, or we're going to bring you in under the Mental Health Act. And it's like, well, what does the Mental Health Act mean? I think I'd rather just come along, right? So that was my first ever experience in a hospital. And I tell you what, it was illuminating and I loved it. Looking back at the time, I hated every minute of it. I was paranoid, I was psychotic, I was seeing visions, I was hearing shit, I was not coping well internally, but externally, I was putting on the best parade I could even possibly put on because I'm good like that. So I got through that and I thought, right, family support is what I need. Family support is what I need. A bathroom is what I need. A bathroom is what I need. Where am I going to get that with family? So I took my daughter to the North Island and I raised her for a solid year, surrounded by family support, a no drugged mama, because she didn't like medications and I was at a distance from mental health, so I'd run away from the people who captured me, although I kept phone calls with a woman called Trudy and she was my lifeline. Love talking to her all the time. I'm a big talker and when I get a connection with someone I've got something similar to banter about, I can talk forever. So we had a great relationship. She was a great support person for me, just someone to banter with because I was a new mother and also a solo mother at that time too, so it was hard not having the interaction I needed all the time, even though I had family around and stuff. Fast forward to that time when I'm doing well with no meds. Every now and again, I'm getting waves of panic and I'm not knowing how to manage it. Every now and again, I'm getting waves of really heavy emotion, and apart from ringing my mum and crying and getting her to come rescue me, I'm not knowing how to manage it. I'm keeping my daughter sheltered from it. I don't want her to see me crying. If I needed to cry, she'd sit up with a movie for half an hour and I'll have a little cry and then come back. I didn't want to be too, you know, kids are intuitive. They know when mama's not right. They know when mama is right. And they express that. Anyway, so yeah, another panic attack and then a deep fall into a depression, and I'm got it in my head that I actually can't look after my daughter. Meanwhile, I'm battling suicidality in my head. I'm battling suicidality this whole time as well. Don't ask me why. Please don't. It's really hard to explain. To explain why you feel suicidal is really hard to explain. You can't really get to the crux of it. You can blame trauma, you can blame happenstance, you can blame circumstance, you can blame yourself. But really, it's just one of those really peculiar human functions that we don't see anywhere else in the animal form. It's singular to humans, suicidality. It doesn't happen to animals. And I think it's just our lack of telepathic abilities and our mind sharing powers that haven't quite jumped into the 5D, let's share forever and ever and ever and we all care type vibe. Where am I getting at with this? I warned you, I'm tired, I haven't slept a wink. This is 33 minutes in and nobody's going to listen to me yarn. And you know what? I don't give a fuck because I'm going to listen to myself and I'm going to learn something new, and then I'm going to try and come across better next time. So yeah, so I got it in my head at the time that I Anahita deserved someone happy and I would never be happy ever again. So she had to be with someone happy, and that happy person was her father that she saw on the phone every night smiling back at her. And why not she go live with him because she's better off with him instead of me. Right, so I made that drastic plan in a really low state, changed my mind about it 3 weeks later, went down and picked her up and brought her back up, but still going unsupported medication wise, but having support on the phone once a week and support of family and friends. So I was coping, right? Not really learning much about learning about my illness per se, because I don't believe entirely in the psychiatric Bible, also known as the DSM, word for word. I think a lot of it is written out of context, and rather than disorders, they're merely responses. Okay, and within those responses are reactionary triggers, and until we work with those, we'll never heal mental health, no matter what pill you bring on the market. Psychiatrists realize this, but a lot of people believe mental illness is degenerative and you cannot heal. I say they're wrong. Many people say untreated maternal mental health, which is true, untreated, but how do we treat people? Not necessarily with medication, but with athi, right? So yeah, battled mental health, battled the struggles of being a responsible, capable mother, just internally, not externally. Externally, I was doing a phenomenal job, and I always have, and I always will. Aside from my times where I'm absent because I've had to be, because I've been forced to be, I could have dealt with that separation a lot sooner, a lot more tactfully, a lot smoother. But I didn't. And thinking back now, there's really no way I could have, given the circumstances I was in. So I forgive myself. And I think that's a big barrier when it comes a big massive mamai that many parents hold today is self-forgiveness, and I've already forgiven myself. So big ups to me. So anyway, move back to Dunedin, get back involved with mental health people. That's sweet as a peach for me to be just coming in, saying hi, having a chat, having a yarn, being non-medicated, but just keeping in touch because they're the early intervention psychosis team, and they've kind of got an important role in society to help prevent psychosis in our youth, and also to help prevent those youth continuing on a path of destruction, right? Because most mental health paths are destructive, you know? We're dealing with the low vibrational spirals, okay? All the way down, all the way from apathy, all the way down to despair, okay? And then you've got shame, you've got anger, you've got all sorts of just muck that the human collective deals with on a daily. And we can either spiral them. When you spiral, you've got to hit rock bottom, right? You don't want to hit rock bottom, bounce back. You want to go right through, break through the barriers, come up another way, and wheel it back up again. But anyways, that's a different discussion altogether. Not really. Okay. So I'm back with the mental health team, right? And I had a low. Meanwhile, I'm talking to my life coach as often as I can afford it. And she's got the best rates in all of the world and best capabilities in all of the world. So it was the biggest blessing of my life. I could have afforded it better if I had budgeted better. But anyways, I had a low, and I reach out to my mental health people, and they say, hey, look, Angelique, you've gone through a big process in your life. Like, just your hospitalization alone was massive, because it is. One hospitalization is massive. I've had 11 now. We'll use this as a band-aid, and they explained mood stabilizers and how they're beneficial to me because I've been identified as diagnosed as bipolar, and a mood stabilizer is what's going to help the ups and downs and blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, I will try this. I'm on lamotrigine for 5 days, 6 days, 8 days, 9 days, and I decide to kill myself. I decide to. I make a decision, wake up in the morning, 5 to 5, that's it. I'm not doing it today. I know what I'm doing. I know how to die today, and I'm going to do it, and I did. Thankfully, spirits got backs, God's got backs, and it was not my time to die because I got brought back to life. And I'm thankful for that each and every single day. And I made a promise to God, I made a promise to myself, I made a promise to my daughter not long after that suicide attempt that I would never, ever, ever, ever try that again. That something else is going to have to kill me. And it will not be myself. How did I get there? Well, I realized I don't matter. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong, what I do matters, but the little I within the big eye of ego doesn't matter. Not at all. It is a speck of dust in the grand scheme of things, but what you do matters, right? But I used to break through the thought I don't matter. Basically, to get to the bottom of depression, you need to accept the most painfulest thought you could possibly accept, and that thought is I don't matter. Okay? No matter which way you want to look at that. It's like people work with positive affirmations all the time, right? People are scared to work with negative affirmations. But if you work with negative affirmations, it can get you to the point where you need to dig deep enough to find something that's going to help you change and shift your reality, because that's what's needed in depression. That's why you get depressed. It's because there's something that needs to change or shift in your immediate reality, and there's something you can do about it because you have the power to do something about it, or you can just wait for the moment to pass as it does. Sometimes some people that doesn't pass, and it's because they need to be empowered with enough courage, strength, resilience, and love to move forward in their life and to become who they want to become. And if they don't want to become anyone in particular, that maybe they want to undo parts of themselves that they have become. And that's easy. It's deprogramming, just as easy as programming. It's not difficult in this day and age. Really isn't, especially with access to technology, access to information, the way we're sharing, recording, utilizing other people's perspectives. It's out of this world. Out of this world, the way that we're able to do this day and age. It's just censorship we've got to watch out for, and the Mental Health Act and whatever else is spooking behind your back. So anyway, so I broke through the suicidality. Broke through. What thought did I come up with that broke through for me? I don't matter, I never have, and I never will. I must stop acting as if I do now. And that was my breakthrough thought. And ever since then, my suicidality has been gone, completely shattered, gone. Healed, self-healed from suicidality, amen. And like I said, I thought only creeped back in recent time. I'd never ever act on it. I can say that now with full confidence and full strength. So this is my will to the world. If I've ever been gone by suicide, question it. Question that to the fucking days. And unless there's video footage, it's not true. And if there is video footage, that video footage is probably fucked with, and it's not true either. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. I knew this video was going to be a flop from the beginning because I'm tired and I'm not tuned in and my whole body's out of alignment. Now I can make up all the excuses under the sun. Basically, as I'm not prepared because I don't know what I'm getting prepared for. So be prepared for anything. No. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna do something controversial. I'm gonna choose to pick up an apple first thing in the morning. Why? Because I've had no craving, desire, or pull towards my most favourite herb in all the world, and I'm missing the pull of addiction. I'm not kidding. I had the same thing with cigarettes and vapes. I wasn't kidding. I did a video once that said I'm releasing addiction. I fully almost have, okay? And as soon as I do, I break through to free will choice, and I am ascending, baby. Ascending all the way, and I don't care how many lifetimes it takes. I'm gonna get there. So this is my self-therapy with self, because I don't have a therapist, and I really, really should. Sorry, say that again. This is a conversation with self, because I really miss my soul sister, and I'm missing conversations. And I'm kind of wondering how my hair got to be like this. But hey, sometimes you wake up and you're like, maybe it's Maybelline. Okay, so what do I want to offer? Ultimately, as my ultimate goddess self on a platform like YouTube, on a platform like the internet, I should say, the interweb, what do I want to offer? What do I want to bring to the space? Ultimately, I want to bring healing, and I want to bring shifting about, in a way that's going to really impact the collective consciousness in some way, shape, or form. That's my goal. That's the desire. That's the pull to this screen. Okay? I'm inspired by so many people. So many people. Not enough at the same time. All right, so my controversial apple ritual begins now. Oh, told you I wasn't prepared. Now, one phenomenal thing that someone's once said to me about marijuana, and I was like, oh, are you for real? Like, I didn't know that. And this is why as per prescribed really matters. It does matter. As per prescribed matters. And it matters because sometimes it's wrong. Okay? And it matters because sometimes it's a self-learning process that one must have to go through because there's too much distrust in certain drugs, methods, and modalities that modern medicine uses today. Okay? Too many discrepancies. I'm sorry, but there is too many cancer victims. There's too many mental health victims. There's too many victims that have been given the complete wrong treatment due to medical mishaps and misdiagnoses. You don't get a lot of medical mishaps with God, okay? Because what am I trying to say? Maybe you do. Yes, you do. You get mishaps with God all the time. That was why science ruled the world, or is trying to rule the world. You know, people couldn't just take blind faith as it was. They had to discover and know things for themselves, and that's why science was a thing. And that's why it's a magnificent thing, because it was a journey of discovery. And then we've discovered all there is to discover. Now what? AI? And all things new? Or all things old began anew? We don't know. So, anyway, this one thing that someone once told me about marijuana that I was just like so duh to the days about was be mindful when you're smoking it. What happens when you just have the tiniest bit and you just sit with it? Just the tiniest bit. Tiniest tokes at a time. Sit with it. What happens? What's the difference between taking little puffers compared to sitting there smashing back 5 or 6 bongs into one go? First person's elevated, second person's stoned. Elevation is what you want. Complete stoneness is not what we want, but it's what we deserve sometimes because we're tired and we all need medicine in our lives. Whether that be laughter, whether that be music, whether that be marijuana, whether that be a pill, you decide. And that's what I think is so important about body autonomy and informed choice, is that people get to decide for themselves. And unfortunately, we don't have the right information half the time, and we have to rely on experts. And unfortunately, some of those experts are misguided because the information that they received is outdated, right? And it hasn't kept up with the times. Times have shifted far faster than they've ever shifted in all of humanity for far too long. For people to not realise that we need to catch the fuck up. And that's why I like the spins in my mind gets, right? I call them the spins because I've known someone else who gets the spins, and he calls them the spins too. And basically the spins is like this. You're overthinking and your mind's spinning, right? Your mind's spinning. And sometimes the catalyst of your mind spinning spins enough thought that you feel and activate those thoughts and you start spinning with your life too. Now, sometimes that's a bit of a drug thing that's going on, like when someone's rushing on meth or whatever, that's what's going on in their minds. That's what's causing the charge. But that charge can be charged up naturally. And the way that it's charged up naturally is by beautiful parts of our brain, like the part that I told you about parenthood. And any part about survival, because our reptilian brains are there for a good goddamn reason. It's for us to live. Ultimately, evil doesn't want us all to die, because ultimately we're being harvested by the evil. If we die, they die. So yeah, this is my wake and bake. I don't get baked. I just higher mind vibrations and me are best friends. And I've been smoking this herb long enough to know about it, that it's my thing, right? People know what works for them and they know what doesn't. Okay, so I will not have a psychiatrist sit in front of me telling me that I cannot go on any cannabis because it induces psychosis when they won't say a damn thing about methamphetamine. Why? Because that's the woo-woo boo-boo drug, the bad one that nobody wants nothing to do with. Wow, wise life choice of yours, yes. But unfortunately, I've had a bit to do with it by association. And that's funny saying that, because even before this direct association, there was always association in my life. There were neighbours, people that I'd heard of, friend, family members, but I'd never been directly involved with someone who was having obvious problems with certain substances. So it was a big learning curve for me, and I joined in the party with alcohol only because I was a party person at 15, and by the time I was 18, I didn't even want to go to the clubs because I was already gotten over my alcoholism. That kind of vibe. And anyways, I've been through a lot of heartbreak. And you know what? When someone breaks your heart over a child, it'll be hard for that heart to ever break again, I tell you that. Okay, so controversial 51 minutes, 22 seconds in. My days are cold without you, Anahita. They really, truly were. They really, truly are. A little bit. Have this little coldness, emptiness to it. And I know you feel it too. And that's why, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write an affidavit this fucking weekend. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I've been avoiding it for a long time because I don't want to fight for my child. Why should I have to when she was made out of love? She is made as love, and she represents love for me and her father. I don't want to fight. I want to stand up. I'm not going to fight unless you think my waha is fighting you. And even then, it's not. Because intentionally, I don't wish to harm. I wish to rattle, shake, and resolve conflict. That's it. And the biggest conflict I have to resolve within myself is this perceived dis-ease or illness with a mental health label. And it's not just one mental health label either. There's many, too many. Been diagnosed with too many different ones, treated for too many different ones, tried an array. I'm talking like, okay, what have we got? Sertraline, lorazepam, olanzapine, lamotrigine, lithium, haloperidol, temazepam. Did I say lithium? Ketamine. There's been 10, Zopiclone. And there's one other that I've been prescribed and been on. And I tell you what, I take the pills when I have to, and as soon as I'm out of the hospital, I'm like, fuck no! Fuck no! I can feel the cogs rewinding in my brain, and it's slowing me down, and now all of a sudden my tits are leaking, and my hormones are out of whack, and my fucking everything's fucked up because of them. Nah, it's because of me. It's because of me. It's all me. Nah, it's them. They did it. No, there's no blame. And this is how you just play games with yourself, because you've got to. If you don't, you end up playing games with other people, and that can get nasty. So learn to play good games with yourself so you can learn to play good games with other people. Because how you treat yourself is ultimately how you're going to treat other people. So it's me learning how to be my best friend on a fucking Thursday morning where I've got probation soon for a crime that was victimless. Sorry, it states someone was a victim, but that victim can suck a hairy fucking asshole, because he's no victim in my eyes. You're no victim. Step out of that mentality. You're mannier than that. If you need to be there for a little bit and you want a hug, give me a fucking ring on the phone. I'm still your friend, man. I'll be your friend for life. I don't care how bad you think I am of a friend or a mother, because I'm not a bad one. Ever. Okay. I know what I gotta do. I just don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to trust. And you know what? I'm not going to sleep today. You know what, probation? I'm going to be fresh-faced. Not on anything, apart from a tiny little toke in the morning that barely did much, but just helped elevate me and keep my consciousness right for the day. Do you know what the funny thing is? I'm going to talk about meth. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to talk about it. I was accused of being on meth long before I'd ever seen a crack pipe or seen someone smoke it with my own two eyes. Okay, that's how sheltered I was from that world initially, which is really good because if I had have seen it earlier, I probably would have taken it up earlier. Just kidding. Never took it up. Never took it up. I can say that hand on heart. God is my witness. I was never addicted to it. Why? I tell you this. First time I tried it. I wish I could tell the whole story, but I can't. But I wish I could. Why am I smiling? Don't smile when you say that. People will think, oh my God, to get that experience, blah, blah, blah. No, okay, stop, blah. I was blown away with how instantly manic I felt. And I was like, wow, this feels exactly the same as my manic mania I had 2 weeks ago, where I was like flying high, baby. And it's unmedicated, undrugged, a little bit of marijuana, and a lot of loving. Okay? Just being in a high time of my life. And anyways, it felt just like that. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is so similar to that feeling, but it's not as good. It wasn't as good as my natural high that I've hit. So my highest high that I've ever hit in my life occurred naturally, I believe. CBD reacts naturally with the brain rather than unnaturally, like the likes of methamphetamine. Methamphetamine eat your brain. Fucking cannabis is going to help your brain, right? I don't know if meth eats your brain, but it fucking might as well do. I wish I could tell the story better. I could. I totally could. I just don't have authority to speak about certain people, and it's sad. Or it's a little bit dangerous for me to talk about certain people. Just kidding. I don't associate with dangerous people. It's not my problem. Who do you perceive as dangerous? Because I believe every single living human, breathing human on this planet is a danger or dangerous or capable of danger. I laugh in the face of danger. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Just kidding. I'm a 90s baby. And I see people as people as people. Okay? Every time I come across someone, doesn't matter who they are, what circumstance, what the situation, I don't judge. I take people as face value, as they are, how they are, what they are about. And I give them the time of day. Heck, I might even give them a little bit more space to get to know them because I'm a people person. I always have been. I love people. Hate people, love people. Love people more than I hate them. Even after working in hospitality for years, even after starting a spiritual journey. And that's saying something. That is saying something. So, associates are interesting. Who you'll give your time to is not necessarily who you'll give your space to. Okay? And that's the thing about time and space and how intricately woven, yet minuscule and something or other. I don't know. I'm just trying to find a flow. Because I know when I find a flow on video or a flow with my writing or a flow, a feminine flow to move throughout my day, throughout my life, things are led in the right direction. And this is just the polarity of masculine and feminine energy trying to intertwine and work together. The feminine energy leads, always. And if it doesn't lead, then there's no leaders. And maybe that's where we're at in the world right now. And maybe that's why. Who knows? Maybe that's why I need to call it quits at an hour, because longer than an hour sitting here talking to yourself cannot be healthy. But let's just call it quits on an hour and say, I tried for the day, okay? And if it's not good enough, it's not good enough. For whose eyes? Guess whose?